Europe is nervous about the potential Trump win. China sees an opportunity. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi speaks during a 2024 Munich Security Conference on February 17. Hong Kong CNN, China's top diplomat Wang Yi had a message for his European counterpart over the weekend. No matter how the world changes, China will be consistent and stable, a force for stability. The claim which Wang delivered during remarks at the Munich Security Conference on Saturday comes as European leaders are warily watching the upcoming United States elections, concerned that the potential return of former President Donald Trump could upend their partnership with Washington. Those concerns flared in the past week after Trump said he would not defend the NATO allies that failed to spend enough on defense, a stunning threat for many in Europe as Russia's invasion grinds on in Ukraine. The timing of Trump's comment couldn't have been better for Wang, who is visiting Europe as Beijing struggles to repair deteriorating relations with the bloc, an effort made more urgent by its domestic economic struggles and ongoing frictions with the US. No matter how the world changes, China, as the responsible major country, will keep its major principles and policies consistent and stable and serve as the staunch force for stability in a turbulent world, Wang said during remarks in Munich, while calling for China and Europe to stay clear of geopolitical and ideological distractions and work together. But while Wang's speech may land on receptive ears in some European capitals where leaders hope to stabilize the aspect of their relations with China, Beijing also has a major issue when it comes to making real progress for repair ties, analysts say. Its steadfast relationship with Moscow. Those challenges were underscored over the weekend in Munich, where the security conference was overshadowed by shock and anger as reports emerged of the death at age 47 of imprisoned Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny. Leaders decried his death as the work of Russian President Vladimir Putin's regime, with outrage amplifying mounting concern about the fate of Ukraine, which lost key ground to Russia on Friday. Wang's message to his European host is that geopolitical differences should not be allowed to get in the way of a close cooperation, said Noah Barkin, a visiting senior fellow at the German Marshall Fund of the United States, called GMF think tank. What is left unsaid is that China is not prepared to change the positions and policies that worry the Europeans most, namely its depending relationship with Russia and its distortive trade practices. A residential building is in ruins following a Russian missile strike in Ukraine's Kharkiv region in this quarter from February 14. Russia relations. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine began 2 years ago, Putin and Chinese leader Xi Jinping have bolstered their countries' relations as both face rising tensions with the West. China, which has not condemned Russia's invasion and claims impartiality in the conflict, has also emerged as the key lifeline for the sanctions hit Russian economy. In Europe, in Europe, this has galvanized concerns about Chinese own global ambitions and plays a role in the European Union's ongoing push to recalibrate its policy towards China. In the panel discussion in Munich on Saturday, NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg drew a parallel between Russian aggression and China, saying continued American support for Ukraine would send a message to Xi, discouraging potential use of force in Taiwan, a self-ruled island, China's ruling Communist Party claims. EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell reiterated the bloc's expectation that China refrains from supporting Russia. In the meeting with Wang Friday, Western governments have not accused Beijing of sending extensive aid to Russia's military. The EU is considering placing trade restrictions on three mainland Chinese firms as part of the proposed round of measures meant to hamper the Russian war effort. Bloomberg reported last week. In response to the query about the report from CNN, China's foreign ministry said that it firmly opposes illegal sanctions or long-arm jurisdiction against China under the pretext of China-Russia cooperation, and that normal exchanges between Chinese and Russian enterprises are not targeted at any third party. Wang made an apparent attempt to address concerns about China's ties to Russia over the weekend, framing the relationship for his audience in Munich as part of the Beijing's effort to cooperate with the major countries to address global challenges. Russia is China's largest neighboring country, Wang said, repeating usual statement that their relationship is not an alliance and does not target any third party. As such, China-Russia relationship that grows steadily meets the shared interest of two countries and serve the strategic stability of the Asia-Pacific and the world. He said, when asked by conference chairman Christopher Hausgen in the public discussion whether China should do more in rein in Russia, Wang also hit back at what he claimed were attempts to blame China or to shift the responsibility of resolving the Ukraine crisis to China. Beijing has worked relentlessly to promote peace talk, he said. The diplomat reiterated as much in the meeting with the Ukrainian counterpart Dmytro Kuleba on Saturday, stressing that China does not sell lethal weapons to conflict areas or parties of conflict, and that it would not give up its effort to re-establish peace. But those efforts have fallen well short of European hopes that China would use its considerable economic leverage and regular high-level communication with Russia, including between Xi and Putin, to end the conflict in the way that respected Ukraine's territorial integrity. Instead, the push from Beijing to flame itself as the potential peacemaker in the conflict, spearheaded by Wang at last year's Munich Security Conference, hasn't produced tangible result. A plan for a political settlement of the conflict put forward by Beijing at the time was widely criticized as likely to help Moscow consolidate its territorial gains as it called for ceasefire without the prior withdrawal of Russian troops. It's also unclear whether Beijing will attend the upcoming Ukraine-backed Global Peace Summit in Switzerland. Kuleva raised the event in his meeting with Wang. According to the statement on the Ukrainian diplomat X account, Beijing's readout did not mention the event. Russian President Vladimir Putin welcomes the Chinese leader Xi Jinping for the state visit on March 21st, 2023. The Trump factor, the observers say that against this backdrop, one's apparent attempt to dial down European concerns about China's position relative to the world may have little impact within the EU. As long as war in Ukraine continues, the EU policy toward China will move into closer alignment with the US, most likely. Europeans will join the US to double down export restrictions over critical technologies in light of viewing the Union's economic security as paramount, according to Yu a senior research fellow on China at the Chatham House think tank in London. The bloc is considering a host of measures that would help it to de-risk European supply chains from China, secure critical technologies, and protect each market from what it sees as certain artificially cheap Chinese goods. Beijing sees European policy as excessively influenced by the United States. One also attempted to push back against such measures in Munich, warning that they would attempt to shut China out in the name of de-risking will make a historic mistake. The Chinese diplomat met a number of European counterparts on the sidelines of the Security Conference before continuing on to Spain. He is also due to visit France this week. One may see more success in stabilizing relations with the individual EU member states is interested in the boosting economic ties, and those looking with uncertainty at the impending US elections, according to observers. In his European meetings, one may utilize the Trump factor to point out that completely siding with the United States is not in the best interest of European countries, according to Liu Dongshu, assistant professor in the City University of Hong Kong's Department of Public and International Affairs. As President Trump not only voiced skepticism of the system of EU-US alliances in Europe, but leveraged the tariff on European steel and aluminum, sparking retaliatory measures on US goods from Europe. Wang Yi may point out that if Trump becomes president, it will be a problem if Europe doesn't have a good relationship with China. He wants to persuade the European countries to be more neutral, Liu said. Beijing has made some progress in smoothing relations with the European countries in the past year, including during a visit to China from French President Emmanuel Macron last spring, a development one will hope to build on. In national capitals, there will be a greater focus on keeping the relationship with Beijing stable, in part to head off the risk of the two-front trade conflict with Beijing and Washington should Trump return to the White House, said Birkin of the GMF, who is also senior advisor at the New York-based Rhodium Group. China's worst nightmare is the United transatlantic front on trade, technology, and security issues. China will use Trump's word to reinforce the message in European capitals that Washington is not a reliable partner, he said.